Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel where today you join me at Fabspeed just outside of Philadelphia. Fabspeed, famous for their exhaust systems, as a Lamborghini Gallardo pulls in, sounding very, very nice. But today we're here, of course, with the Ford GT. That sounds really good. I'm going to be taking it inside to pop it up onto their dyno to A, hear a lot of noise and hear this car at full chat, and B, see how much horsepower it actually makes. So we're going to be taking it inside and having a look around as well at how they go about their business and how the exhausts are created, and probably hearing some startups and many revs from lots of very noisy cars as well. So let's head in and take a look around. Before we take the GT over to the dyno, let me show you around very quickly to see what's going on here. So we've got a Boxster Spider with a new back box. Next to it though is a 12C Spider that has the complete X-pipe, the new exhaust tips, completely different design to the standard, even with a surround that's been created for it as well. That car's making 100 horsepower up on standard. We've got a 930 slant nose, again with the complete system going on through it in this. And just to quickly show you an example of what this actually looks like, you can see the Supercut U-pipe that you've got there, and also over on this side you've got the Max Flow system with some carbon tailpipes as well, and the X-pipe that's created in the center, all of which happens just through here. So this is the workshop. The dyno is over towards the back corner. The manufacturing is all over towards this side, and you can see, well, quite a few nice cars inside being worked on, but we will head in here. We'll have a better look around later on, but I think for now we will get the GT fired up, of course completely stock, remember, bring it round and put it up on the dyno. To quickly take you then through the details of the Ford GT before we bring it inside, we are mid-engined. Back here we've got the EcoBoost 3.5 litre twin turbocharged V6. Officially the engine is making 647 brake horsepower, which is 656 PS metric horsepower. This car is completely standard in terms of the powertrain from factory. We've got the original exhaust system, not the sports upgrade exhaust. The car being a European spec car, of course over here in the US, which is absolutely epic as part of my tour, means that it has the additional filters and mufflers, so it is actually quieter than a US car. But what will be interesting is to see what happens when it goes up on the dyno. It is of course rear wheel driven. We've got a 7-speed dual clutch gearbox. Tyres, well, they're not exactly new, I'm not going to lie. They've done a track day at Silverstone, which makes it even crazier that the car is currently here. And you will notice that it is also very sunny and incredibly hot today. It must be somewhere in the 90s in Fahrenheit, the 30s in Celsius, but conveniently inside is actually air conditioned. Where the dyno is, it is air conditioned, which is certainly going to help keep the cooler temps, of course, with the turbos that we've got on the car. What we need to do though is get it inside, where I'll talk you through what we actually have to prepare and what modes it's going to be run in to make sure that this works completely correctly. Burbles into life. Of course, as I said, standard exhaust, not the loudest car in the world, but we will be hearing this at full chat very shortly. It's going to be taken around towards the back. Let's go and pop it in and I'll explain what we're going to be doing. It's actually not very often that I see my own car on the move, but I love this thing. It's so low. When you see it in this car park surrounded by, well, normal cars, right? That thing just looks flat to the ground, and that's not even in the track mode. Let's come round. It's going to be heading inside, all the way around the back here, and then inside the workshop, dyno tuning speed shop, where we'll be able to see what's going to be happening with this inside the air conditioning, which will be very nice. Like I said, it is incredibly hot out here. We are actually going to pop it straight onto the dyno's lift itself here, so that we can get underneath the car, because in order to be able to strap it down, it means actually removing the kind of main panel of the diffuser, so that you can access the underneath of the car itself. While the car is up in the air, let me come and quickly show you underneath it, because there are some really interesting parts about this as to the design and some of the aero. So we've got a complete carbon fiber underbody. Basically the entire car is carbon fiber, all exposed here where you can see. At the very front, airflow actually comes through just above the splitter, underneath the number plate, and comes out through here. Then you've got these very, very long control arms. This is the incredibly clever suspension system that this car has, but also these really open channels, as you can see, where airflow can go through and come out around the side. Have a look here as well. Look at the cooling for the brakes that you've got up there, those gigantic tubes. Basically, underneath this is really pretty clever. But what's being done at the moment, just removing that diffuser at the very back. You can even see these knacker duct style pieces here for extra cooling that comes through that mesh. You've got smaller ones. This is actually really fascinating. If I come around the side quickly, I know you can't quite see this, but this is obviously the lower section of the door. That's the piece that opens up. So here we are. The underneath of the Ford GT, all carbon fiber, all very lightweight, a lot of bolts, with all of this being taken off so that we can access it to strap it all down. As if by magic then, that is removed, and in there we've got some leaves, probably from the UK, that have been brought over when the car was in transport. And then you can see how exposed it is down here, and of course find some of the control arms where it can be strapped down. But see just why it's so quiet, because you've got the gigantic cats, the filters that connect up to them, you've got the exhaust back box here, and the gearbox sitting right in front of that as well, all underneath the back. In fact, let me just come under to show you this even closer. Wow, it's actually almost a work of art to look at this from the underneath. The way you can see the cooling tubes as well and pipes running through. Back into life. It's been amazing to see this all completely opened up, ready now to be strapped down though, so it'll be taken forwards on towards the dyno. Here we have the diffuser, which is also fascinating to look at with all the fins, which by the way have been PPF'd. Topaz did everything from here towards the reversing light that you can see at the back, all fully PPF'd. That's now going to be moved forwards where it will sit on the rollers. It needs a 4-wheel dyno for the GT. It gets a bit unhappy if you just roll it on the 2-wheel, but obviously air-conned in here is very nice. And there are some gigantic fans up front to feed some air through it as well. But this is literally how it all happens and how it's going to come into place sitting on top of the rollers, ready for this. This is quite interesting for me to watch actually. You can see everything needs to be shuffled slightly to ensure that it fits and sits completely comfortably on the top. There we go, magic. That's literally how it's done, sitting on the rollers front and back. Now we'll get strapped down. This means it's time. So the car is going to have a lot of fans running all around it, for cooling of course, even extractor fans behind. But it's all strapped down, as you can see, locked into place. That's the noise of the fans. Now the interesting thing is with the factory exhaust, are we going to hear the exhaust over those fans? I don't actually know, but we're going to be finding out very shortly. As it's going to be running, getting set up and configured. You've got the display screen up here, gives all the information about what's going on. Feeling the wind from the fans at the moment. Just about time to get started. That sounded pretty cool actually. I'm not gonna lie, we've got a display up on the screen of the rev count. But that was actually louder than I expected it to be. You can actually hear me over the fans. Now one other thing to think about is the mode that the car is in. If it was in track mode or VMAX mode, the suspension would be dropped. You're not going to be able to hear me now. And if the suspension was dropped, that would then mean it's constantly adjusting the kind of suspension setup that it's got. And that would be a problem with the strap. So you run it in 4 mode to get around that. I think it would be more cool if it had a Fabspeed exhaust system on it. Tell me what you think. In any case, I'm looking forward to seeing what some of the numbers are. Time for it! Wow! Man, that sounds cool! Amazing! What a beast! Right, let's go and have a look at the numbers and see how this did. The runs have been done. We've had 3 in total, and that means the numbers are now in. So of course the dyno is certified. It also has correction factors for today's humidity and temperature, but the numbers are pretty strong. So let me show you what we've got as a result here. You can see 3 different max powers. This is in brake horsepower, 584, 589, 580. Now the Ford GT officially 647, but you would always lose about 10 to 15%. So you would always lose about 65 up towards maybe 90 horsepower from the full number. So we are seeing some very, very strong results there. In terms of the torque, we're looking at about 550 pounds-foot, which is exactly what it's quoted to be. That's 740 or so Newton meters. So bang on, spot on what we were expecting out of it. These runs have been done in 4th gear, and you can see the charts as well and see where max power was, RPMs, just shy of 6,000. It's quoted at 5,900, so again, completely spot on what you would expect expect. Now remember, those are the numbers at the wheels, not the numbers at the crank. You always lose a little bit in a car. You can only really measure it on the crank. On a dyno, you can estimate what the crank horsepower would actually be, but you can't monitor that because you don't know the magic number for loss within the system. But in any case, I'm very impressed. Numbers coming out stronger than you expect is always a good thing in a stock car. It's running on, like I said, 93 octane fuel out here, which is equivalent to roughly 97 RON back home. So it's not race fuel, it's not kind of even the best stuff you can buy on the German autobahns or anything like that. Just the car being brought in the right conditions, running on the dyno, and doing, well, 500, and what did we get? What was the highest number? 589 brake horsepower, which is, well, only, what, 55 down or so from the amount that's quoted, which is really very, very impressive. So overall, I can't complain. Epic running that, but let's go and have a little look around also here at Fabspeed to see what can be done and what kind of exhaust systems they're building for all sorts of different cars. The car is being pulled backwards then, back onto the ramps to put it all back together, get the diffuser reinstalled back there. So last look at it all nice and open. This is really a very, very impressive piece of kit. The only thing is though, if you look at this exhaust, it says actually it's stamped export just on the side of it. You can see how it comes out of the cats. You've got these pipes that come into the back box, which is wrapped up in that heat shield, and then you have additional pipes that go straight up behind the back, and obviously out here you can see it kind of comes up and points towards the rear, where you have those awesome tailpipe finishes, which are really, well, one of the very cool kind of fighter jet almost inspired elements of the car. And obviously the view from here straight the way through it to the workshop behind, always one of the absolute best. And then the number plate plinth just covers up over here when all is attached as well. So really quite cool to see this so up close. This is basically a toy store or candy shop of exhaust systems. Some magnificent looking things lining these shelves. And actually, if we go through and just have a quick look, you can spot some of the different cars. So we've got Porsche 964s. On this side, we've got the 987 Boxster and Cayman. And you can see how the systems are created to go onto these jigs, which means that they are absolutely going to fit when they go into the cars. If we come through, up ahead of us, we've got Ferrari systems, F12 systems, 488 crosspipe. You can see where they're going with this. All manufactured here, research and development happening here. And in fact, you can see some welding going on taking place. Here's one of the jigs. So they have this kind of cheese board style where you have different jigs with clamps to make sure that everything fits absolutely perfectly. If we come through, more work taking place here. You see some very shiny looking pieces getting prepared, getting set up. You come all the way to the back here, you've got all the piping and tubing as it arrives. That then goes through a machine to bend it and make sure that it can all go completely into place. And again, you've got the process here where it's all mounted up, put into play there. If we come through to this way, research and development is actually really quite interesting to see as well, to show you some of these systems. So this is from the F90 M5, the 600 horsepower M5, and you can see how basically this allows the opportunity to mount it all, the clamps to ensure that everything comes into place, how the brackets show you exactly where the stock system would be. So the measurements are all taken and compared. And here we've got a 993, I think twin turbo. You come through just onto this side, you can see early stages of development for the R8 to make a new system, to refine the system even more. But basically the way the brackets shape up, and by not having one whole big piece, by using the cheese board as it was called, that means they can have much smaller components for the different brackets that need to be used to test that. And then through this way, there are quite a few cars currently lining the workshop. Some customer cars, some in-house cars, some cars being developed. All a pretty interesting place. Then back there, the GT just having the final parts done before it will be lowered and taken back outside. We are going to take a quick listen to this R8, which has their super sport exhaust system, and it's also got a supercharger on it. And I expect it to be fairly loud just now when it starts up. Ready when you are. Wow, that was loud. And the exhaust is switchable, so now the exhaust is closed. Yeah. That makes a huge difference to how loud it is. Okay, yeah, that was really quite loud in here. You can hear it opening. That's enough to make your ears bleed. I'm not joking. Next then, we are going to be hearing the 12C with this exhaust. Oh wow, I was going to say, the exhaust like on the Can-Am with the dual style on both sides, but they actually did it first. And that's much, much more aggressive and raucous than a normal 12C. today to Fabspeed to see how the exhausts are made, to explore the facility here, and of course to put this onto the dyno. And what an impressive performance it was. 590 brake horsepower at the wheels, some incredible numbers from the car, and now all back together and ready to be taken out on the roads to continue this incredible tour here in the USA. I'm very, very pleased to have actually done this. Only I think the second time in my life I put one of my cars onto a dyno to see the numbers, to see the performance, and learn a little bit more about exactly how that is done. But this thing, just a car I truly love and I'm having so much fun with, and now it's got one more kind of thing that it's done under its belt. It's come to Fabspeed, been out on the dyno, and while we've been here, of course, we've heard some very loud cars and enjoyed having a look around as well. We're just bringing that outside gently off the ramps. Appreciate how carefully they're doing this, of course, with the car before it's going to be heading on down towards its next stop, which I believe from here is going to take me towards Atlanta. It's very, very hot outside. This thing is looking fantastic as ever. You can hear the fans running now, and still totally surreal to have my British car, you saw the lift system just dropping there, here in the USA. There we have it then. Thank you very much for watching as always, guys. Thank you to Fabspeed. I'll pop their links down below if you'd like to find out more, but I have enjoyed this visit an awful lot. For today though, that is all, and I will see you again very, very soon. Cheers.